trilogy, the original trilogy, the prequels, the Clone Wars animated series, the Rebels animated series, and then some books that take place in and around those timelines, along with a couple of books that are just now being released in order to lead up to Episode 7.
Gotcha.
Which, when I first heard that, it was kind of disappointing, but now that I've actually read the story where Chewbacca dies, okay, I can kind of see why.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
We're going to talk about
Chewbacca's not dead
dying.
in the movies.
Yeah. Oh, we're
Oh,
actually
we live
live
now?
John. Yeah.
But
I don't think you can miss Derek's Star Wars synopsis.
This will be the only interesting thing I have to talk about this week.
So,
But yeah,
Derek, what did you do this week? I read a lot.
No, I did nothing. I mean, almost literally nothing. That's the problem. I've spent the last 2 weeks at home helping take care of my son because his movement disorder has been acting up so bad we couldn't send him to daycare anymore. So my last 2 weeks have just been I don't know. I mean, haven't been able to record anything. I've barely written any blog posts. I haven't hardly done any client work. Got no marketing done. I mean, it's just...
Our pets' heads are falling off.
Yeah, exactly. Our pets' heads are falling off. Exactly.
So Derek's taking a vacation.
Yeah.
Vacation.
Right, vacation. Yeah, that's the word I want to use.
Yeah.
And,
A vacation only it's not fun.
yeah,
You're not going anywhere.
not even a staycation. It's a take care of my son and hope I can actually drive him somewhere 5 minutes away from the house without him screaming in the car. It's been pretty awful, quite honestly. We now have one of those little placards you hang on your mirror to park in handicap spots, and we're getting a wheelchair set up for him at therapy this afternoon. They're going to get it configured or measured, so we're going to end up ordering a wheelchair for him. And he won't have to use that all the time, but when he gets really bad, he will. We've done a whole bunch of tests in the last couple of weeks as well, blood tests and urine tests. And at this point, we're looking at Wilson's disease as being the culprit based on the results that we've seen in the tests so far, which is kind of scary and kind of relieving because we've been dealing with this for so long. If this turns out to be what it is, it'll be nice to have an answer. But at the same time, it's kind of scary considering what it is, because it's not like something that can be fixed or cured, but it's something that has to constantly be monitored and treated for the rest of his life. Otherwise, he'll end up with liver failure and cirrhosis and all kinds of horrible problems.
I didn't even realize that copper was
Yeah.
really utilized by your...
Yeah, me either. I had no clue. I mean, when I started reading about this, the first thing that popped into my mind was that old episode of Scrubs where they're doing a fairy tale and they have to find that golden ring or copper ring, and that whole episode was all about Wilson's disease, and the patient in that episode ended up getting a liver transplant in order to save her life. Of course, my son's only 8, and typically that kind of level of problem doesn't happen until later in life. So if that does turn out to be what it is, then we've more than likely caught it early enough that he won't have any severe problems like that. But it's just really stressful.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where it's like you said, like you don't necessarily want it to be this, but then it's actually, I guess that's not as bad. Like it could be something worse.
Right.
At least this is a manageable and not degenerative type of progression thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you can make a plan if you know what it is. So.
Right.
Well,
So
have
that's
an
my
excuse for not working.
Yeah, that's all I've done for the last 2 weeks. I mean, I'm just to try and keep myself sane. I'm trying to answer Stack Overflow questions about RabbitMQ whenever I can.
Oh, there you go.
Try to work on blog posts every now and then, which I've written a couple, and I've got a couple of half-written ideas. that I'm trying to flesh out sometimes. But my client work is rapidly dwindling because it's really difficult for me to concentrate when my son is home. Even when my wife is home to take care of him, I can't get into that concentration that I need in order to really be productive.
Yep.
So it's just constant interruptions and constantly breaking my train of thought. And so I sit down and I have an hour or two of time to work, and I have no clue what's going on. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I try to start working on something, and I flounder and flail and just can't get anything done.
Yeah, it's like you're coming back from. I mean, I was joking about vacation before, but it is kind of like coming back from vacation. Like for me, the first couple days.
But it's like that.
Tough.
It's been that for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Yeah, just figure out your like where to cut your. I don't want to say cut your losses, but essentially like you have a pileup of backlog stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it you can just say knock it off and just say it's not important.
Oh
and
yeah,
then figure out what it is that is important, and then like this way you're starting from like you're not starting from negative 5,000. You're starting from like negative 200.
Yeah, no, I've been doing that. I mean, there's 1,000 things that I've just said, screw it, I'm not going to do it. I'm not even going to bother.
Mm-hmm. It's
so
funny
that's my
because
week.
I have people talk about balance, and I mean, that's what you've got to do, so that's your balance right now.
Right.
All right. Who else has happy news to report this week? I'm in London.
Yay.
London is nice.
How many more stops on the tour? Is this the last one?
I'm going to Iceland next week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then I will be.
I'll say hi to Bjork.
To who? To
Bjork.
Oh yeah, that's true. And then next, and then I have like a 2-day stop in New York City before I go home. Okay. So I'm pretty much ready to go home at this point. Like.
You're not going to Canada?
No.
Go see some mooses.
Toronto would be cool though.
Toronto's really nice. I like Toronto. Been there twice.
But
or 3 times. Yeah, 2 or 3 times. I really like Toronto.
Yeah, London is pretty interesting city.
Yeah, London's fun. I like London. Been there a couple times.
It's
someday.
There's it's good transportation system, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It is expensive as hell, though. Oh my God, is it expensive? Like,
yep.
And here's the thing I don't understand. Like, people are always like, oh, well, currency conversion and whatnot. They're like, oh, it's a good time to go to Europe because we're doing good against the euro. But
they don't use the euro in London.
Well, yeah, they don't use it in London. I know it's a pound.
Right.
Wait a minute. What is that? Why people are like giving me funny looks when I'm giving them euros and like,
yes, no, that seriously is. People they don't like euros in London.
But just in general, like I found it interesting while traveling because it's like, okay, yes, the dollar is trading like almost 1-to-1 with the euro, but that doesn't actually give you an advantage because like systems are repriced. Like that means that there's inflation. That means that like prices are generally higher, and there might be some small discrepancy, but again, it comes back to my funding that I always like to say, which is that there's no arbitrage situation. Like markets are efficient. So if like there was a significant advantage to having U.S. dollars and traveling to Europe, then a whole bunch of people would import U.S. dollars, right? And buy. There's a whole currency exchange that keeps things level. So.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, when I was in London, I found it was about 1.5 times as expensive as the U.S.
So the conversion happens to be just right about that. So one U.S. it takes $1.50 U.S. to get 1 Great British pound.
Right.
But the pricing and it's about that. I think it's about 150%. I mean, some of the pricing is it depends on where you go, but
Yeah.
like you can, like if you just want like fish and chips for my wife,
Hmm.
myself and my daughter, like just with a drink, not even alcohol, I could easily run $70 from not from like
Wow.
a
Oh wow.
just from a regular place. Just I
Wow.
mean, you're talking like yeah, pretty much meal prices like
That's
But
like way more like that's way even more expensive than New York.
but you
it's the
gotta
most expensive
you
city in the
gotta
world.
go to the hole in the wall places off the beaten path to avoid that, and you're gonna get better food, around the corner down that alley, but you're also gonna get cheaper prices because
So
it's not gonna be the touristy kind of.
Yeah.
I'm in the hole in the wall. This is
Really?
like down the street from me where I'm staying just outside of London. So like I mean, not everything is like well, everything is ridiculously priced, but not
Yeah.
everything is so ridiculously priced.
Right.
Huh.
We went to a shoe store or like this department store. I mean, granted, it's Harrah's, it's an expensive department
Mhm.
store, but my wife was looking for shoes for my 4-year-old because she actually wore holes in the bottom of her shoes from walking. Um, and so I was like, yeah, Harrah's is probably not the best place to go. And she's like, well, they'll have shoes there. And so, I'm like, well, okay, I guess you'll see. And then, we go up to the children's shoe. This is children's shoe. This is like, shoes for 4-year-olds, right? I just casually pick up one of the shoes, turn it over to look at the price. So how much do you think a child's shoe, just like a random one that I picked up, would be? 220 pounds.
Holy cow.
So that's over $350.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
yeah, unless you have oil money, you're not supposed to be shopping there. Apparently.
Oil money, I love it.
So yeah,
That's
it's
why
an
John's
interesting
really
city.
buying all that real estate. He's tearing down apartment complexes and throwing up oil rigs.
He's just going to use a year of his Pluralsight royalties to buy those shoes.
Uh, but yeah, it's an interesting city so far. But I am done. I'm ready to go back.
Yeah.
Actually, the gym that I've been going to gyms at different places. So the gym here in London that I found is fully automated. It's 24 hours, and there's no
nice.
staff.
Wow.
There's a keyboard. There, like you punch in, like you use your credit card, and then they send you an email with a PIN code. And then there's this like tube that you punch in your PIN number. It opens. You step in. It closes behind you, and then when that one closes, the one in front of you opens, so that only one person could go in at a time. It's kind of crazy.
Wow. I saw a news article this week about basically robot controlled restaurants replacing waiters and cooks with robots.
It's like the 1950s automats.
Yeah.
I think that I'm surprised we haven't made more. Like, at least servers, right? We really don't need or at least I mean like different parts of it, right? Like one thing that frustrates me to no end is sitting at a restaurant and like waving down, okay, yeah, we're done. Can I get the check? Okay, here's the check.
Yeah.
Okay. Now could you bring the credit card machine so I can pay? Like, so gotta wait again and wave them down. Like every single table in a restaurant should just have like a little punch thing, like where you can just pay when you're ready. That just has this card scanner, and you can just pay when you're ready and go.
Yeah.
They have that at the local Chili's here.
Oh yeah,
It's
I have seen that at a Chili's. Yep, that's true.
a little Android device, yeah, and so it's like, yeah, when you're done, you can either give me your card or you can just swipe it there and then leave.
That's how it should be.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, and then ordering the same thing, right?
Mhm.
I mean, like
Yeah, you can order with the waiter, or you can order on the thingy. I don't know what the official name of thingy is, but it's a thingy.
Man.
So I'm gonna veer us into another area, but the official AngularJS Twitter account tweeted about my conference.
Nice.
Sweet.
awesome.
How many followers does that have?
like 70,000 or so.
Okay.
Nice.
And
That'll help.
I've been talking to Brad Green, and he's like, yeah, if you have any other tweets you want me to share or retweet, just let me know. And I'm like, all right, I'll do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I've been connecting with all kinds of people about the conference and just talking to them. The unfollowers thing has actually turned into a very interesting way, not only to get the word out about the conference, but also just a way to get in touch with people. So what I did is I set it up so that when I follow people, because I follow 1,000 people a day, and then 3 or 4 days later I'll unfollow anyone who hasn't followed me back.
Mhm.
And the thing is when people follow me, it tweets out to them and sends them a direct message. And the tweet says, hey, do you listen to any of the podcasts, and have you checked out any of the remote conf? And the direct message just says, are you a fan of one of the shows at devchat.tv? And actually gives them the URL to click on.
Wait a
And
minute, that's working without, like, every single person that you are following, you're sending a
no, if they follow me
mention.
back.
Oh, if they follow you back.
If you follow me, then they get that tweet. And
They get
so,
a mention, mention, and a DM.
uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
And so it's been really cool because I've gotten all kinds of people. They follow me back, and I've had about half the people say, no, but I'm going to check it out. And about half of those come back and say, holy crap, this is awesome. And, and so then we start talking
That's
about
cool.
the shows and, okay, well, what do you want to hear? Because we probably have something that you're interested in. And
Yeah.
then the other half are people who are already listening to the shows, and so I get to interact with them and say, oh, okay, so which episodes do you like? What kinds of things are you digging? Where do you listen? How do you listen? Blah, 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 blah. And it's just, I've gotten all kinds of just great feedback, all kinds of confirmation about what we're doing as far as what we're doing right. It has just been phenomenal. And it's not something that I was looking at doing. I was really just looking at having people, say, oh, I'm following Chuck, and then, oh, he said something about Angular Remote Conf, and then they go sign up. But it turns out that it's been a really, really great way to connect with people. And on my shows, the other thing is that I put out there that if you go to whatevershowsdomain.com/15 minutes, you can actually get a 15-minute Skype call with me. And I've set all that up through Calendly.
Yeah,
I limit it to 2 per day, and I'm booked out for a couple of weeks now with people from Ruby Rogues, JavaScript Jabber, and the like. And I have gotten all kinds of great feedback and made a ton of great connections with people.
That's awesome.
So it has just been awesome. And it's been kind of the same thing with LinkedIn, because I'm doing the autopilot for LinkedIn. And again, I have people connect with me, and then they're excited about the shows, and they like what I'm doing, and they have feedback on that. I can't even. I'm so excited about it because I feel like I'm making these connections that mean something from people just knowing who I am from the shows, and then being able to make a personal connection. It's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then as far as the conference goes, I've had 5 or 6 people sign up over the last 3 days. I think that's going to ramp up because early bird tickets end next week. I'm also going to send out an email today. I tend to piggyback my commercial stuff on emails about non-commercial stuff, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I'm going to send an email out and let people know on the mailing list, hey, if you want the 15-minute call, somebody's alarm system keeps going off.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, I've got a guy here fixing
Josh's
fixing
house
the
is being
furnace.
robbed. But
Yeah,
the camera's not
multiple times. Multiple
You
times
got it
being-
live.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send the email out and say, hey, look, here's the link if you want to talk to me for 15 minutes about the show. And then it's going to follow up with, oh, and by the way, I'm putting together this conference, and you can use this link and this coupon code to get your ticket. And that will go out to about 2,000 people between the different lists that I have for the different shows.
Nice.
And so I'm going to do that before the early bird to try and create a little bit of, hey, you got to hurry if you want the lower price, and then see how that works out. I do have a question, though, about the Angular Remote Conf website. and that is that initially when I built it, it just had the standard Stripe commerce thing that pops up when you click a button. But in order to do the coupon codes, I had to create a custom form, because with one-off purchases you can't use coupon codes in Stripe. You have to implement it yourself. So it still pops up. So you click it and it pops up a modal window, and I'm trying to decide if I should move that form directly into the page, because it's all over HTTPS, and then it's really obvious. You want a ticket, fill in the form, hit the button, and then you'll get a ticket instead of having it kind of hidden. Does that make sense?
I didn't quite
it does.
get it. Okay.
I'd keep it the way it is. You want the screen to generally be as clean and clear as possible, so that there's only one thing to do. Oh, I clicked this button to get my ticket. It's not,
Right.
oh, here's all these forms. Do I need to fill this out now? Do I need to? No, it's click this button and then get the form to fill in. So I'd leave it the way it is.
The other thing I'm thinking about doing is, since I have the modal window and it's all hooked up to the JavaScript that pops it up and stuff, is putting buttons at the top of the page as well, like let's say, get your ticket now.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've got traffic coming in to the page that already knows about it and understands it, then that's a good idea. I would. So you're asking, should you embed the form directly into the sales page, basically?
Yeah, instead of having it pop up as a modal when you click the button.
One alternative to that would be to put it on a separate page instead of having it in a modal, and then you get you could make it clear that it's a secure connection. Personally, I'm not a real big fan of those modal payment pop-up windows for that reason. Like, it's just kind of a weird, like, there's not very many. 99% of the time when you go to do a transaction online, it's a separate page, and so it's more expected. And then like Stripe, and then like Gumroad is the other one that does that. It's just like weird.
There's good reason that they do it, though, even though 99% of the people out there don't realize it. They do that for PCI compliance.
How does that help with PCI compliance?
Because the modal that they pop up is actually an iframe that points directly back to the PCI compliant service that they offer.
Oh, okay.
And if you read the recent round of PCI compliance updates, that is one of the requirements that you have to put in place in order to meet a certain level of PCI compliance, is having an iframe that points back to a secure service that is PCI compliant. And then
you can probably just embed the iframe right in the web page too, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Probably.
But the point of Stripe having that pop up is so that you don't have to do anything. You can literally just drop a JavaScript widget on your page, and you are instantly PCI compliant.
That makes sense.
Yep.
One thing nitpicky, I would change your call to action instead of get your tickets to something that's a benefit driven, like join the largest online AngularJS conference ever in the world.
Well, that's because it's the only one right now.
That makes it the truth.
That's true.
Hey, yeah, you're number one.
Yeah.
Learn Angular from experts. Become part of the. Whatever, something that's going to be exciting, like
grow your back hair, things like that.
Comb your back hair?
Grow your back hair.
Oh, yes, grow your back hair. Yes,
that's
combing
right.
is not as exciting as growing.
That's what Angular will cause you to grow back hair.
Yeah. And then you can braid your back hair.
Exactly.
And then you can switch to Durandal.
And then use the sword to cut it off.
Yep. But so the marketing's been going, I think, really well there. I also had my assistant Gerald. He reached out. He's been reaching out to 100 Angular meetup groups and 100 JavaScript meetup groups every night on meetup.com, and I've probably had 20 or 30 replies that are like, "This is awesome. I'm going to share it with the group," and so. I may just follow up with them like on Monday and just say, you only have, there's only one day left of early bird, so make sure that your group members are signing up today.
How many early birds have you hit so far? Have you sold?
About 7 or 8.
Okay.
But
What's your target again for this?
Total? The total ticket sales, I'd like to hit 100 ticket sales.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
And what are the early bird prices right now for?
It's $100 a ticket.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And the regular price is $200 a ticket.
How many did you have for the last conference that you did?
About 40. JavaScript though had like 120, 130.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I think you've got a good strategy. I think those things will, like hitting all those meetups, especially that scales. I like that. It's a repeatable thing.
Yeah, I did have the one meetup. They actually reached out and said, "Hey, you can sponsor our meetup, and then you can email, you can get an email out to the group. Otherwise, we allow anyone to post to our discussion forum, so you can join the discussion forum and then post there. But you're going to get a lot more traction if you give us money, and I don't know."
Yeah, I got
kind of on the
those too. I don't know if it's worth it. I was sending out free book versions of my book, signed copies of my book to meetup groups, and I got that message from a few of them. I was like, I'm giving you a free copy of my book.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to pay for sponsorship, sorry.
Yep. So yeah, so I've had a lot of that going, and yeah, I'm just going to keep reaching out to people. I'm going to start also posting posts to the LinkedIn groups and seeing if I can get some traction there, and then I need to post it to a few other places. Like I want to get it on Reddit and Hacker News and things like that, and see if I can get some traction over there.
Yeah, I think you should be able to with. I'm trying to think what's the best way for you to like make a post or something that would. It might be just a link right to the conference page, just to submit the.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is I just post it there. I'm also going to go over to javascript.com. They have a place where you can share things, and they don't care if it's commercial or not. So it's just, hey, this is JavaScript stuff that's happening out there in the JavaScript land. So
nice.
And then so I've got all that going on, and things are kind of picking up there. And then I haven't really been focused at all on Rails clips, but I keep seeing tweets and getting emails about it. So it's picking up steam. I've got 10 or 15 paid subscribers at this point, and then I've got 100 or so that are the Kickstarter backers. So.
Were you able to buy that? I forgot where we left off with the
Railscasts. I haven't heard from Ryan. I think I'm going to email him again and just say, hey, I'm still willing to buy it. And if you're still not sure, I would still really appreciate you, letting people know about it, like letting your subscriber base know about Rails clips.
Does he live anywhere near you?
No, he lives in Oregon somewhere.
That's not too far. I wonder if it's worth like meeting him for lunch or something. Like, I mean, obviously you'd have to fly out there, but it might be worth it considering the size of the deal. Like, if you can put a deal together.
Yeah, totally. And it would also be worth it to me to just. I mean, people are already subscribed, so I could just pick up where he left off. And essentially, what I do is I just put my videos on there and then go from there.
Yep.
But yeah, I've gotten a lot of good feedback from it. I need to make sure that I'm releasing the videos on time because I haven't been. I've been a day or so late on every one of them. But nobody's complained yet. I just want to get on top of it before it really becomes an issue. So. But yeah, so that's mostly what I've been focused on. I do have a couple of potential clients in the works But the sales process has been a little bit slow because they send me a spec and then I send them back like 3 pages of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like yeah, you want an estimate on this and I can't give you one with what you've given me, so it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Trying to think what I don't have a whole lot to report this week at all. Like I've got the guest post going on simpleprogrammer.com, which I'm pretty happy with the process now.
Yep.
And I've been generating about 5,000 to 6,000 page views a day now on the blog, so I'm already seeing a pretty good uptick.
I need to follow up with you about doing that interview we talked about last week.
Oh yeah, we definitely need to.
I just got busy and then I was like, yeah, it just reminded me. Anyway.
But yeah, it seems to be working out pretty good. I'm getting some pretty well-written articles. I feel like they're going on, like my editor, she really knows like what to do, like and how to vet the right people and get the content in shape. So that's good. And she just like does things without asking me, which I like.
Yeah.
Like just do it. Like just make a decision that you probably shouldn't make without consulting me, but do it, and take the risk. I like people who do that. So, because most of the time, 90% of the time, they make the right decision. So, yeah. So that's going pretty good there. I also hit a nice milestone today of 8,000 YouTube subscribers. So. That's pretty cool. My goal for the year is to hit 10,000. I did have some bad news. It's I'm trying to think how to put this. Pluralsight is sort of screwing me over for my Java course, which is one of my most popular courses. They're quote retiring it from the library and replacing it with some new courses.
They didn't come to you to say, do you want to update this or whatever?
No, and it doesn't really need an update. They're rebooting their Intro to Java stuff. My course is like in the top 10.
Right.
So, and they have other authors that are building this content. So, kind of not the best. Like that's I've been ready to be screwed over. Like so. You know, I'm not like super surprised, but it was kind of bad taste to do it that way and to be like, oh, and you know, not offer me the opportunity to like if they needed new content or so. Especially my Java course is like I said, out of thousands of courses on Pluralsight, it's number 10. So it's a pretty popular course, like, and has extremely high ratings. So for them to basically, you know, do that is I don't know. I'm not too happy about it. I mean, they're gonna leave the course in the library, and it just marked as retired. So people can still watch it, and I can still get, you know, royalties from it. But that's but this, you know, that's why like also when I talked about, I mean, if I kept on making Pluralsight courses this whole time, I could have made a lot more money than I did with Simple Programmer, obviously, but the reason why I switched about 2 years ago to stop making Pluralsight courses and just focusing on Simple Programmer is because of situations like this. I don't like having being held by the balls, which is essentially, you know, if all of your income is tied up in someone else's business, then they can squeeze you pretty hard. So they still have the ability to squeeze me pretty hard, I suppose, because of the my royalties, but you know, investing in Simple Programmer and growing that has made it so at least I have a, you know,
nice
episode.
Yeah.
At least I've got you know, a business that generates a full-time income.
Yeah.
So I don't, but yeah, it is kind of messed up. Like I don't want to say too much bad about Pluralsight because, you know, they don't have the ability to defend themselves here, and they haven't like, it's a somewhat of a business move, but they should definitely, in my opinion, like if you're gonna like retire someone's course, you should pretty much like give them the opportunity. Like you should let them know ahead of time that you're thinking about doing this, have them part of the decision process, and give them the first opportunity to create a new course if there's some kind of deficiency or they want to replace the course with some new content.
Right.
So,
John, I had to step away for a bit there. What course did they retire?
well, they're going to be retiring my Java courses, my introduction to Java, my Java fundamentals, which are my best performing courses actually.
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah.
That's interesting because it's kind of similar to the affiliate situation, right? That I had with King Sumo, where they like cut my commission way back, and you have no control over it. It's kind of what I've been saying about like when you've got this sort of stuff, this passive income. A lot of times it's got a half-life, right? It starts to decay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and just being in someone else's, well, and at least you're in control over it to some degree if it's yours, right? But when you're playing in someone else's sandbox, then they can squeeze you. And it's, I mean, with Pluralsight, I could arguably say that I helped them grow a huge amount because I was the only non.NET author, and I produced their original iOS, Android, Java course, all these different languages and technologies that they had no one producing courses with, and the majority of their revenue comes outside of Microsoft now. But so that's the whole thing. If you have to be careful about growing someone else's business. There are certain times where, I mean, obviously the Pluralsight opportunity was good for me,
right?
But I felt like I had to cut loose and start building my own stuff. About 2 years ago, because it was too tempting to keep on doing Pluralsight courses and making a ton of money without but without owning it. So, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it'll probably. I'm guessing that my royalties will be cut by 25% based on this one move, which of course sucks. But I've been ready for this. Obviously, I've generated more money than I expected with Pluralsight, so we'll see. I'm fighting it a little bit. I'm like sending email and like hey.
Yeah, is it just outdated? Cool. Is that what the problem is?
It's not. That's the thing. That's what kind of takes me off. Is it's not even outdated. I can only imagine what kind of internal reasons or discussions that have happened, but. But again, it's not my sandbox, so I can't.
I wonder if this is a to speculate wildly. I wonder if they have new people willing to do the courses for smaller royalties now.
That's you don't
need to respond if you don't want to.
No, I kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the tenure thing, right? Where you chop off the top half of the workforce and hire people that are willing to do the same thing for half as much.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is that just as John kind of did a while back, other people are moving in and making a full-time job out of making Pluralsight courses.
Right.
And so if John is not producing content for them anymore, or at least not regularly, then this is their chance to let some of the other authors shine so that they can sell some of those other courses. Makes it more attractive for both the author and for the students who are going to follow authors.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and pretty much like the Java, like whoever has Java 101 is gonna. That's like a huge, that's gonna be a huge chunk of traffic. I mean, that'll automatically get a huge amount of revenue no matter who does it because of the topic.
Well, if you go look at their top like 25 courses, 23 or so of them are introduction to or beginner courses.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, it's a system, it's a game to some degree. I've benefited from it. I'll still benefit from it. It's just, so at least I've been prepared. I know that I haven't put all my eggs in. I didn't buy a Tesla like some people did.
Oh man.
I saw something about Tesla in one of my news feeds. What happened? Was it a?
No. I'm just saying a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
Florida
Oh, okay.
users have used
Yeah.
the raw
Yeah.
eggs to buy Teslas.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a 10-year-old car, so
Right. One 10-year-old car.
and I
I have
don't
a
have
20-year-old car.
nice.
Nice.
But
You win.
yeah, so I've been prepared for to be I'm not depending on Pluralsight income, and it'll still come in for a long time in plenty of amounts, but it's always just still a nasty stab to get kind of news like this.
Do you have like iOS and Android ones too?
So they retired my iOS course.
Okay.
It was same type of deal.
A
So it's
while
still
ago.
in the library, yeah. Now that one I kind of understood more because it was like, well, the technology changed, right? So that shifted. Java hasn't really changed for I mean, there's some new stuff added, but basic beginning Java hasn't changed for 15 years. So
Right.
yeah. So I don't know. What can you do? It's like you've got to really. This is where that that book, the 50th Law, where he talks about, it's like you have to be an owner. Always be an owner.
Yep.
That's what I've learned is
Right.
not that you can't ever get opportunities helping someone else or working in someone else's business, but as soon as you can get your own corner, you want to work your own corner. You want to be an owner, because otherwise you're going to be subject to random crap.
Well, but see, the thing is, this just has to be if you're going for this type of business model, you have to plan for this no matter what. No matter what angle you're taking, you have to plan for this, because John, you get 70% of your traffic from Google. Well, that could get cut in half overnight, due to some algorithm change.
Yep.
And so there's always going to be my explainer video client. I was thinking about this 7 years ago. He was the only guy or one of the few people on the block doing this. Well, now he's got swarms of a little pack of raptors all around him.
Yeah.
Gnawing at his ankles all the time, and so he doesn't really have his business is kind of slowly it's coasting, and it's really out of his control. I mean, even if you build something, there's going to be pieces of it you don't control.
Of course, yeah.
And that's so you have to kind of just plan for everything you build has this decay cycle built into it, which is frustrating, but.
Yep.
Well, some of them though are upwards. I don't know. Nothing could last forever, but for example, my Pluralsight royalties kept going up even after I stopped making courses. In fact, they've never gone down ever.
Well, yeah, but now they will
go up. But
they're going to start going down because they're going to start retiring more and more courses over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's likely. I mean, their revenue they've been growing, faster clip than that's been happening so far. But you're right. I mean, but that's where I think it makes sense to you got to have your hand in more than one thing, right? And then also, a lot of people are like, well, John, why are you just putting all the money that you're making into real estate? And then that's a good reason is because of that, because of what you said is any of these businesses, any of these things I'm doing could suddenly they're subject to conditions, whereas the real estate is much more of a stable there's not going to be a lot of things that could possibly disrupt that generate, even though it's not the highest possible return. Investing in your business is the highest possible return that you could get. It's a pretty good return for with the stability. So you've got to have some other mechanism. It was I thought that was good. Did you listen to that one too, Josh? The Smart Path of Income?
No, I haven't.
But I know Chuck
I really liked it.
But but it's essentially that guy came to the same strategy. He's essentially doing the same thing that I'm doing, which is he's making a bunch of money from his business. He's putting it into things that will kick off money in the long term rather than this cycle. The other thing that interesting about that is I've been reading a lot of Nicholas Taleb books. I mentioned some of them. Like I've read almost all his books now. I just finished reading Black Swan finally, and then Fooled by Randomness, and then the Anti-Fragile book. But essentially, like his strategy is I think one that I've adopted and is a really good one for life, which is he calls it the barbell strategy, which is basically like you put a lot of you take risks in sort of this barbell type of on the ends, like on super aggressive risks and super conservative, like you're super conservative. And so basically you have to leave yourself open for a lot of black swans in the positive direction. So you need to like do the things that are unbounded to the upside as much as possible, even though they carry high risk because the rewards are much higher than the risk. But most of your stuff should be like conservative, like so definitely like if you're doing different, and that's why part of the reason why I do things like YouTube and the blog and all these different things is because any one of those things can take off and go gangbusters nuts. I mean, just any day, like all of a sudden, a great example is Troy Hunt, who I don't know if you guys have seen. I mentioned him a couple times, but he does ASP.NET, like security, expert. He's kind of like built a niche from that, and he's a Pluralsight author. But when that Ashley Madison hack happened, he did a few articles, and he's got this this site where you can check to see if have I been pwned.com or something like that. And and so he's actually been on now like Good Morning America and like just recently and a bunch of different. He was on Time magazine, like reposted his article because he's basically been talking about analyzing the Ashley Madison stuff, and so like all of a sudden he said that website is now getting 50,000 hits an hour. His Have I Been Pwned site from all these people checking it. So basically, like any time any small venture that you're doing, as long as it has that potential for in the books he calls it extremist instead of meteorocracy. Is like it goes out of the Gaussian bell curve, like it can have extreme results. But if you're doing things like that, like writing books, blog posts, YouTube, things like that, have that potential where overnight you could suddenly make 1,000 times the income you were making from it.
Yeah, he was on Web Security Warriors too on the episode that I was on. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. But yeah, so that's the thing is you've got to have those shots. Look at even yours, Josh. Like I mean, you've done a lot of different things, and you've had a couple of what I'd call black swan payoff shots, like hitting the AppSumo thing. That was pretty awesome. And then also even of course the Sublime Text contest.
Yeah, I just wrapped up mine just finished up yesterday. So I ended up with for this one, not nearly as good as my last one, but I ended up with 33,512 new subscribers. Well, not new, but subscribers in MailChimp from that contest. So.
How many new ones you said?
Well, they're not going to be all new. I don't know how. I have to import them into Drip, but
yeah.
It's 33,512.
Wow, that's crazy.
Signups, yeah. So probably I'm thinking maybe 1,000 or 2,000 of those will be from my old list.
I so need to do that. I need to go talk to. Well, I'm tempted to go talk to JetBrains and see if they'll actually give me the license to give away.
And it's not even worth it.
Yeah,
not even worth your time. Just pay for the license. I mean, send them a quick email and say I'm doing a giveaway, like, but like it's I wouldn't even sweat it, like.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it's only $100.
This actually matches the Josh Earl rule of giveaways, which is that typically you can expect to get about half of your email list again.
Okay, so if I send it out to 3,000 people, I'll get 1,500 that enter?
Yeah, that's pretty common, is what I
1,500 new people, you mean?
I don't know. I mean, for you, it'll be a higher percentage of repeat people, probably, because... yeah, people are reporting numbers back to me, and it's usually, I'm assuming they're reporting kind of the net or the total, the gross total of addresses, not the net after they merge it back in. But yeah, typically people are like, oh yeah, I had 6,000 people, I got like 3,000 email addresses. So I don't really know for sure how they're reporting that. But
so so what do you do with those lists afterward to keep them healthy?
So what I do is I've got this all planned out. So I'm going to pull a CSV. So I set this up. The giveaway leads got piped into MailChimp because I wanted to send them. So King Sumo plugin sends out an email that says, hey, you entered. Here's your URL to share. To share it with your friends, and that's what kind of gets the viral effect going.
Right.
Specifically, that email gets people to share, I think, and that was the thing that wasn't going out when I first launched it because of the throttling that I was getting from whatever the MailChimp server is. So that email goes out. Then they get piped into MailChimp, and then I set up an automated email to go out from MailChimp an hour after they're added, so it doesn't distract them from the first email from the plugin. And it was a welcome email saying, hey, you're on my list now, here's what's coming, kind of setting their expectations. And I told them, and I will announce the winner to this contest on my list. So it kind of...
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So it kind of keeps them, okay, I got to stay on here, or I won't find out if I'm a winner. So I'm going to... so I sent that out. Then I queued up another one. The other reason I wanted everybody... So I wanted everybody on MailChimp for two reasons. First, I wanted to send them an email immediately telling them that they were on my email list. Because last time I imported them like 3 weeks after the contest, and they hadn't heard from me in 3 weeks, and suddenly they're getting emails from me, and I got spam complaints. So I wanted to tell them immediately and give them a chance to unsubscribe immediately, and that way MailChimp wouldn't slap me when I imported them like I did last time. So then the other thing I wanted to do was send a second email the day the contest was ending, and so that went out yesterday, and that was basically like, hey, contest is winding down, last chance, go dig up the email I sent you earlier and share it, and you'll get more chances to win. So it kind of reminded everybody, and it produced another little flurry. I think it actually got me an extra 3,000 signups or so. So that went out yesterday, and the contest ended last night at midnight. And so from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to import. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Drip, and I'm going to import all 33,000, but I'm going to tell Drip not to add people who are not currently on my email list. And I'm going to use the bulk importer, to tag everyone who's currently on my list, so I know who entered the contest, who was already on my list, and then I'm going to do another import to get all the new people, so I have those groups separated. And I'm only going to email I'm going to put the new people onto a sales, like a flash sale sequence for my book.
Nice.
And the old people who are already on my list won't get that because they just got a sale from me not too long ago, like last month.
Right.
So so I'm going to do a flash sale next week for my book, knock it down to like $19, and see if I can generate some quick revenue from the contest. So that is the plan. I've got the emails all written and queued up in Drip. I just have to... Actually, what I decided to do was I kind of sort of automated... Rob, if you're listening, this is kind of what we want. This is what Derek's been talking about as far as like broadcast emails. So we want to be able to send a series of broadcast emails to a segment of the list and have it kind of be grouped together like the campaigns are grouped. So what I did was I actually created a campaign. So it's an autoresponder sequence, and I'm just going to go in at like 10 o'clock the day that I want it to start and just add everybody to that campaign manually. and then that'll trigger the first email. So the first email will go out at 10 o'clock roughly on Tuesday, and that'll trigger the other emails. So it'll be, there's 3 emails. First one is like, here's the winner. Hey, I'm doing a sale. Second email is, hey, I'm doing a sale. Third email is, this ends in a couple of hours.
Right.
So to be able to have all those set up as broadcasts would be super, in a way where they're kind of linked together, would be super nice. But I just managed to hack it with the campaign.
Well, why would you not use a campaign though? I mean, campaign makes sense to me.
Yeah, but it
can
would be
reuse
nice.
it too. You can drop someone into that campaign and do the contest again.
Yeah, exactly. I think what I don't like is there's no way to schedule the start of the campaign. I have to do it. I have to kick it off manually.
I'm pretty sure that on the campaigns you can set what time it sends.
Right.
The emails, and so you could import it within 24 hours, and then send it out at 10 a.m. the next day.
And you can restrict it to only send on certain days of the week too.
Yeah.
So I could set it up to. I could do it a few days ahead of time.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to be able to schedule. And the other thing is all the campaign, the email times are relative. So it's like I can't say send this out at 10 a.m. It's like send this out 24 hours after the last email goes out. So I lose some of the control over the timing. But I'm gonna hack around that just by like you're saying, Chuck, setting a specific start time for the first email.
I think you can arm wrestle it to do what you want without
I can,
much
but
trouble.
That's kind of the use case, and if it was a little bit better supported, it would be cool.
Yeah. By the way, Drip.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say Drip trick that I didn't realize.
Okay.
It's so stupid, right? I've been doing these meetups, and I'm like, how do I do this? Like, is there I could use a meetup page like meetup.com, but I don't want to create a group for for one-time thing in a country. So I was having people reply back to the email if they're interested, and then I was like going through and having my VA put them into an address book and flag the emails as part of a Google group, so that I could email everyone and I could know who was going to the meetups, and then I would send an email to everyone like in my contact book group. And I did that for like the first few meetups, and then for this London one, I was like, I could just make a clickable link in Drip that tags them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, click here if you'd like to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I can just send emails to those tagged people. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that idea too, because then the next time I'm traveling, I could do the same thing, right? I could just send an email around that says, I'm going to be in Dallas is where I went last, so click here if you want to be notified of, where and when we're going to hang out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I may pick your brain a bunch, Josh, on how to do the giveaways, because I really like the idea. And I think it'd be a good way to promote JS Remote Conf in February next year. Start doing it now.
So I have to confess that I created a trial account for Active Campaign this week, which is another email automate. It's kind of like, I don't know, in our world no one really talks about it, but it's sort of like it's like Drip, pretty much like Drip, but it's more. There's a little bit more of a CRM component to it, which is what I was looking, because I have not been able to find like a CRM tool that I really like. It's just it's super annoying. I don't know why. I just can't seem to find the right combination of features that I want. But Drip is, I think Rob uses it as a CRM, and I've thought about asking him how he does that, but I looked at it and it feels like it would just be kind of clumsy for me, because I really want to be able to capture physical addresses easily, more like manually enter them, because I'm going to probably do a lot of my follow-up via direct mail for my copywriting business.
Well, and you blow people's minds when they get a postcard on their birthday and stuff.
Yeah. So Yeah, so I was looking. So ActiveCampaign, like the one thing I do like about it that Drip does not have is the visual workflow designer. It's similar. It's not as good as the Infusionsoft one, but it looks really pretty. But I was excited about it. I was considering actually switching my Joshua Earl, my copywriting list over to ActiveCampaign because I liked some of the CRM features that they had, where you can just have more fleshed out contacts and everything, and keep notes on people, which you can do in Drip too. But it's just from the demos I was seeing of ActiveCampaign, it looked a little bit nicer. And then I got in there and it was terrible. I ended up wasting like an hour and a half playing with it, and I was just like, oh man, this sucks. And so, yeah. Still happy with Drip.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't found a CRM tool that I love either, and I'm actually working on moving off of Entreport, so if you find something that's awesome, let me know.
I've actually toyed with the idea of going back onto Entreport just for my copywriting business. What I really would like, I don't know. I just feel like everything that I haven't found there's not like a clear. My business does not have a clear sales cycle like a lot of companies do. So all the CRM tools are like built around this, you move them from bucket A to bucket B to bucket C, and it's this linear process. And mine is basically like I've got a whole bunch of people. I've got some people that I want to target, like high value people who are high profile, could potentially make me a lot of money. I want to target those people and kind of get to know them. And then I have people that I'm like pursuing actual deals with, which is kind of that's a little bit more normal. You've got like initial meeting and proposal and all those stages. And then I've got this whole like this raft of people that I just want to stay in touch with over time, but they're not on my email list. And so I just haven't been able to find a tool that really fits that dislocated process very well. It's been super frustrating. Contactually is probably the best. I'd actually closed my account with them and I just reopened it because they're the best. They're the closest thing I've found so far to what I want. So I don't know. And it's frustrating because like what happens is with the tools, they encourage automation, and then what happens is you build the automation, and then it's like the automation runs you over. Like it's like, oh, I can set up a reminder to follow up with people, and this is what you're saying, Chuck. It's like, well, now I've got 50 reminders to follow up with people, and I haven't been able to get to any of them. So it feels like you're like, I don't know, the best analogy is like, it's like getting stampeded by you're like at a soccer game or something, and there's a riot, and like you get stampeded because everybody behind you is just running faster, and that's kind of what these tools do. I'm the bottleneck, and the tool just kind of keeps marching on. And most of what I do, I can't really automate. I don't really want to automate particularly because I want it to be more personal. So I've been thinking a lot. I've actually spent a lot of time this week thinking about my process and my what I need to have in place. And I kind of think the way I actually realized that I basically have 2 sales funnels, not one. I've got one sales funnel. So Dan Kennedy has this term called whale fishing, or I guess just whaling, where you're going after really like big, high profile people that could give you $100,000 basically.
Right. Okay.
Versus like minnows, who maybe could give you like, for me a minnow would be somebody who could give me like a $500 job.
Your black swans. You're from the ultimate sales machine. You're 100.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I've got I've got these 2 different funnels. Like I've got, and this is kind of where I've been getting hung up, is like, how do I see like blogging. I don't see blogging and Twitter and even my email list as going to get me those whales.
Right.
There might occasionally be one, but Dan's phrase is whale fishing in the desert. Like, if you're on Twitter, chances are you're not running a $10 million a year business that wants to hire a copywriter, and so I need a strategy I basically need a strategy for both, and they're both valuable. But for me right now, I need to put more of my focus on the whale fishing end to try to land some of those bigger ticket, because the minnows, like, you can get some income from that, but it's going to eat you alive because you've got 10 little projects that you're trying to run all at once, and I need a couple of those and like one whale. That's
Right.
kind of like the good mix. So yeah, actually realizing that I have two separate sales funnels has really helped me. So I'm trying to figure out like just a process for each of them. And on the minnow side, it's going to be guest blogging and Twitter, and actually, Chuck, I'm very interested in your LinkedIn automation thing. I'd like to hear more about that in a minute.
Well, I was going to say I think we have time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that's kind of like on the smaller side, and then that stuff can all be automated, and then I've got the whale fishing side of it, and that's going to be networking, going to conferences, and just manually reaching out to people and like following up, tracking them down on social media and getting myself in front of them over and over for a couple of months until they're like, okay, I know who. Which is what I inadvertently did with Perry.
Right.
I'm gonna do more of this. I had mentioned him in all those tweets that I queued up in Edgar. So every time I tweeted one of his articles, over and over, I was showing up in his news feed. So it was like a drip, drip, drip of exposure that I didn't have. I didn't have to do anything. So I'm going to try to automate a little bit of that. But mostly it's going to be manually reaching out to people, trying to get them on Skype. Maybe doing interviews for my blog. And I'm going to probably target maybe 20 people at a time, maybe more like 50, and just at least reach out to those high value influencers at least once a month until I'm like on their radar, and then I'm going to probably move them into kind of a keep warm mode. And I need for that, like, I don't have it's hard to I've been trying to figure out what to do with people that already know who I am, are really high value, but I just don't have time to follow up manually with all the time. And I think those people are going to get a print newsletter. I think that's what I'm going to do for those people, because you can send people unsolicited direct mail, but you cannot send them unsolicited email automatically. Right. So that would be like the one thing I could do to kind of automate the higher value prospects without ticking them off. So that'll be the automation side of my bigger funnel, I think, my bigger client funnel.
Have you read The Ultimate Sales Machine?
No, it's on my list it's pretty high on my list.
You should read that now or pretty soon, since you're talking about a lot of that. Mm-hmm. Essentially, like, it's funny because when I read that book, I was like, oh, this would be good someday, but I don't think this will be a large portion of it. But now that you're saying this, I'm like, oh, yep, that's exactly what he talks about in that book. So
I'm looking it up. It sounds interesting.
It's like Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet something.
Yeah, I've seen that one recommended a bunch.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. I mean, it's an interesting. That's kind of that barbell strategy. Like those, if you land those whales.
Yeah.
Those are, but you can't put everything into the whale fishing, otherwise you'll be leaving yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are plenty of people that make really good living doing just that. I mean, I don't want to do that necessarily, but you can, because the whales are so big. You can do that, and like I hired I'm going to be working with a coach. I think I met this week with Lori, who was my coach from the Simple Writing System program that I did with John Carlton, and she's been doing this for about 15 years professionally. So she's been through the whole process of that I'm just starting into. And I wanted to hire a coach because I've got access to all these forums and stuff, but
Yeah.
I have so much there's so much backstory, and I've tried a lot of things already, and I wanted somebody that would actually be willing to take the time to hear me out on all the things that I've tried, and actually take the time to understand where I really am and what I have. Like, what I wanted to basically take all of my cards and set them all down on the table and say, okay, I have all this. What do I do with it?
Right.
Because I'm really I'm not short on ideas. I'm just kind of overwhelmed actually with possibilities. And I've been having a hard time prioritizing where I need to go next. And I've been really wrapped around the axle trying to figure out, do I need to be, what stage am I in? Because John Carlton has these 3 stages of a freelancer, and the first stage is you don't know anything. The last stage is you're this polished machine and you're a professional. The middle stage is where you need to pay your dues. So I've been trying to figure out am I in the polished professional stage, or I'm in this pay my dues phase? And when you're in the pay your dues phase, you just basically put your head down and take anything that you can get, and just you get beat up a lot, and it kind of sucks. But from working with my coach, she's like, you're past that. Even though I don't have this huge long client list of people I've worked with, I've been able to bootstrap myself fast enough. My writing, the main reason you need to be in that pay your dues phase is to get your writing chops honed, and I've already got that. So I'm in this weird I'm ahead of myself basically.
But not in the business aspect.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in the skill aspect, you're beyond there, but in the business aspect, you're still perhaps in the pay your dues phase because you don't know how to you haven't put enough experience under your belt of negotiating the contracts and landing the client.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, and so that's why I wanted to coach, was to help me get the business side of things up and running. I'm just she's you're not normal. She was telling me she's only worked with one other student that she thought was able to do what I've done in the last year, basically. So I'm just I'm kind of in an awkward position, and so she's going to be helping me, I think. And first thing we're going to do is put together do a productized version of my service. So I've decided I'm going to focus on email exclusively. I will occasionally do sales pages and landing pages if people want it as part of an email package, but I am going to be focusing in all my marketing on email autoresponder sequences. And I realized there's actually not, I'd thought about that before, but I was super intimidated because there's guys like Ben Settle who've been doing it for a really long time, and they're kind of gurus, and they own the email space. There aren't that many actual active copywriters, though, who are taking clients who are email gurus, who specialize in it. I've only found one other guy who is actively taking clients and is specializing in email. So there's
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing, because it means that I won't have. There's definitely a lot of demand there, and I've actually talked to several copywriters this week, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, email is really hot, and if you could specialize in that, you totally should." Including my coach, she was like, "Yeah, that you should definitely go there." So, and another thing I realized is that I actually don't. I know the marketing. I know a lot about marketing, and I know a lot about the players in marketing, but I don't know anything about the marketing market. If that makes sense. So I don't know who. I have no idea who the companies are who would actually hire an email copywriter.
That's interesting.
And I've been having. So now that I've decided I'm going to specialize in email, I've been focusing on figuring out who are the whales in my little market niche, and I'm starting to find them, but they're not like what I don't want to work with is I don't want to work with like a lot of people who are in kind of the startup mode, because that's where so far that's what I've been working with, and it's really painful. I want to work with people who already have their act together and who are just need content, right? They just need emails. And
well, like the Perry Marshall, right? Like
yeah,
one that you're doing, right? You're ghosting for him to some degree.
Yeah. Yep.
I would imagine like someone like Ramit Sethi, right?
Yeah.
He's going to need people that help. Like if you could emulate his style, like if you like one of his long emails, if you wrote one like in his style and sent it to him, he would probably be like, I'm sure that he can't find someone that can write in his style. I think you probably could do it
actually,
exactly,
I know a guy who does write his emails.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he's got at least one other copywriter now doing it. He still does a lot of them himself.
Oh, okay,
But yeah, like exactly. So I need to find people like him.
Yeah. Even like any kind of motivational speaker
Yep.
that's selling so like what's his name, the big get out of debt Christian guy,
Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey, or even Tony Robbins. I mean, those are big whales for you that they're doing email marketing.
Yep.
And they're not writing it themselves either. So.
Yeah, I mean, some of them do. Like Perry still writes a lot of his emails himself, but yeah, a lot of them don't. But yeah, I'm working on identifying who some of those people are, so that I can start to go after them. And those are the type of people that I will be. So I'm gonna go. Dan Kennedy has a conference in November, and it's for info marketers.
Yeah.
So that is going to be like perfect. That's like a perfect fit. So I think I'm going to go to that and try to meet some big people there. And then I'm also going to. There's locally. There's a Dan Kennedy group that meets the GKIC group, and there's like 50 to 100 business people that belong to that, and they will all understand email marketing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to that this week and see if I meet anybody who would be interested in potentially working with me. But
it'd be cool to specialize even further, right? To say like, okay, so you're email marketing, but like you pick a segment out of that, and like I said, like just like one that I was thinking of was motivational speakers, right? So you find all these whales in the motivational speaker space. You start emailing Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, all these guys that are kind of in that big space. And then if you land like one or two of them, you'll be able to you'll be known in that space as the email. You're the writer who writes for, who wouldn't want to have the guy that's writing for Dave Ramsey do my emails too. Yeah. He understands motivational speaking. And there's enough, it has enough depth, and there's enough money in there where you could, like, that would be all you would need. Like, you just establish yourself in that space. And you could totally hone in on those specific problems and needs. You know what their issues are. You know how their business models operate.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to go there. Right now, I don't know enough about the market to know what those niches are. And I've been beating myself up because I've been trying to just think up something, right?
Yeah.
Which is always a bad idea. I've been trying to figure out like what can I specialize in, but I don't even know what is out there. So I'm just like jumping the gun. But yeah, no, I totally agree. I would love to do that. I'd like to have at least one or two niches where I can write the emails in my sleep, because I know the audience inside and out. I know the type of product that people are selling, and that way I can. It'll be there's a lot less overhead to every new client I pick up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I've got the background of all the people that I've already written for. But
plus, you can benefit from the fact of, I mean, not that that skills are important, but they're not as important as reputation and name, which of course I always say. But yeah, I was actually in one of the I think it was in the Black Swan book. He was talking about the fact that research papers, like they did this study, like trying to figure out like how much the name influenced the research paper and the citing of it, and that like if you were cited, it greatly influenced the amount of future sightings of even if someone never read your work, like they didn't even read it. And so he was talking about like this publisher, like someone getting their book published, and when they were first trying to get their book published, no publisher, they rejected it without reading it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he said once that he got the book published and it was selling, and then when the author was going for their second book, the publishers published it without reading it. And I thought that was great, and it's like that awesome. Is the truth of the situation. It's like if you become in that clique, right, in that circle, if your name is known enough, then you're really going to benefit from that. Just the attribution, like where someone is just going to hire you essentially because someone else hired you in this space.
And Lori did that. She basically got really fast. Like my coach, she worked with Mark Victor Hansen. I think he was her first big client. She met him at a Dan Kennedy conference and worked with him. And then it's like pretty much, she worked with a couple other big name people right away, and that was pretty much it. Like she didn't have to market herself anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna be what like this the USP course that I'm teaching with helping to coach with Perry. Basically, the idea of this course is a USP is you have a good defensible USP when you are number one in a tiny niche that's growing fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a combination of specialization, but also in specializing in the right thing, finding an unmet need. And so that's like, I don't know what the unmet needs are, so specializing prematurely is a mistake if you don't see, like if there's nothing that you can provide by specializing that they can't get from someone else,
right,
then it doesn't help you.
Right.
So I need to figure out what the niches are. But yeah, like totally, if I could be the email guy for the personal finance market, like Dave Ramsey, that's what I do. Like that would be great. I actually made a note to stalk Dave Ramsey and see what he's doing for his email.
And I think there's a few connections that you could probably leverage off of there. I know
probably.
Joey Benninghooves that Derek knows that. So
right.
Someone else had mentioned that they know someone who works for Dave Ramsey, or was.
Yeah.
I've made contacts over there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually would really like that because personal, like, I don't know if I want to do finance, because that's pretty technical and also pretty. Health and finance are the two riskiest as a copywriter because the SEC and the FDA actually watch them like a hawk, and you can get caught up. Like the client that theoretically is the one who should get thrown in jail, but you can get swept up in that as the copywriter too.
Huh.
So yeah, I mean, you're supposed to put in your contracts. You're supposed to try to get the client to sign off and say like, the copywriter knows nothing. He only knows what I tell him. That kind of language. So that hopefully keep you out of trouble. But personal finance probably doesn't have the same restrictions. And I mean, of all the things that I could think of, some of the hot niches are like marketing. That one I could be in. Fitness, like I don't know. I don't feel like I have anything special to bring to the fitness niche. I could hack it if I needed to, but personal finance, like we've actually done really well with our finances, and so I actually feel like I've got enough, life experience in that area that I could actually make that work. I will have to look into it.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy though, because especially like having that focus. If you can land a few of the big whales, then
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm also going to focus I think a lot of my minnow fishing efforts are going to be around guest blogging on sites like Infusionsoft.
yeah,
Like there's some pretty big blogs that would really help me get more targeted traffic to my site.
Yeah, and if you send them something that they can't say no to putting on their site, then
Yeah, well, I think what I'm going to do is actually put several of the editors or bloggers from those sites, regulars, onto my whale fishing list and just stalk them on Twitter and try to get their attention and then talk to them about doing it. So I'd rather not write our whole articles. I'd rather pitch an article rather than write it on spec and hope I can get somebody to publish it.
right.
yeah, it's tough. I mean, you'll have more luck if you write a whole article, but
You don't really need to. If they've got, actually, editors get that all the time. They get
Whole
people just
article?
throwing stuff at them. So if you're really, your best bet is to get to know them and to do that by like talking about something they've done recently, or commenting on a post they were involved with, and tell them how much you liked it, or making a personal connection first, because they get spammed with stuff, and it's the same thing with book publishing. Like 99% of the stuff they get is really bad,
right.
and yours will stand out if they read it.
True.
And it's getting past the I'm not going to read this filter. That's tough.
Yep.
But yeah, Chuck, tell me about your LinkedIn thing. Is it
I'm curious about that too.
Is it auto? I looked at. Is it autopilotforlinkedin.com?
Yep.
Okay.
So
they are using like a default WordPress theme on their site. How
it's
shady
kind
is
of
this?
an ugly site, but
It's the WordPress 2014, I think, that
oh really?
awful. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, the idea is that your visibility on LinkedIn is based around several things. One of them is the number of times that people view your profile.
Yeah.
And it's also based around how many connections you have and things like that. So anyway, so what Autopilot for LinkedIn does is it gains you visibility on LinkedIn, and basically it's by visiting other people's profiles. Because then they get if they go to LinkedIn regularly, if you look at the top, there's a little flag icon.
Right.
It says so many people viewed your profile, and if you click on that, then it'll show you who's looked at your profile.
Okay. Yep.
And so then they can go and click on you and have some anyway they can get to know who you are a little bit. So that's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I put in my profile, and they actually give you some guidelines too. One of the emails that you get in their drip sequence is go do these things on your profile, so that when people see it, they want to go check it out. But anyway, so then what happens is you install their browser plugin. So they have one for Chrome and one for Firefox. You can use either one. And then you go to the advanced search on LinkedIn. So up on the search bar right next to it says advanced.
Yep.
They have videos that show you how to do this. And then you can do a search. So what I've been doing is I've been searching for Angular or front end or JavaScript. And then I've actually been limiting it to second connections. And then I've been doing a seniority level of manager, owner, partner, CXO, VP, director, or senior. I leave out entry, students and interns, and volunteer.
Okay.
And then,
Are you on LinkedIn Pro, by the way?
Yeah, I have a pro account.
Okay.
It works much better with a pro account.
Yeah.
Because you can see more profiles and you get more access to features.
Right.
So you can limit it by location, and I've been doing that a little bit lately because I've kind of mined out all of the people who show up within the first 500 or 1,000 results when you look at anywhere. So I've been going by location, and it actually has a co-pilot feature. So when it exhausts the list in one area, it'll actually randomly choose another zip code and move over there and do the same search. So then what it does is it keeps track of who you've already visited within the last week, and you can set it so 1 week. I think it's 3 days. I can just look at it. I got it right here in front of me. Yes, you can skip them if you visited them within the last 3 days, 7 days, 15 days, or just tell it not to skip ever. And then it just goes down the search results and it visits each profile, and then they visit you back. And so when I look at who's viewed my profile, it tells me that I've had 467 profile views in the last 90 days. More than half of those have been within the last week and a half, because that's when I started using the tool. And my graph actually goes way up over the last 2 weeks. The other thing that you can look at is you can look at how you rank for profile views. And so for professionals like me, it says professionals like you, 100 members, and before I was like 41st out of 100, and now I'm number 1. And then out of your connections, so these are the people who are on your connections list. I'm number 33 out of 1,714. And before I was like number 450 or something. And so you gain visibility because when people search, you get a whole bunch of credit for being viewed a lot of times.
So, what kind of results are you seeing as far as like people connecting with you and that sort of thing?
So I have added probably 30 or 40 connections over the last week and a half. People who listen to the shows, people who look at my profile and are interested, and I add them as connections because it makes it a whole lot easier to connect with them and send them messages and things like that. And I've also gotten a lot of people sending me messages saying, I checked out your website and I think it's awesome, or I've gotten connections from people, and then people saying, I listen to the podcasts, and so I've been able to get feedback from that. So it's kind of the same thing I've been getting out of unfollowers.com, except it feels and looks a whole lot more like interacting over email. And so anyway, the other thing is the larger your network is on LinkedIn, the more reach you have. The more other people you can find. And so that's been really nice just to make these connections. So, and there's actually somebody on my list of somebody who's viewed me today that I've actually been wanting to connect with for a while, and I didn't, or at least I don't think I, picked up her stuff on, I don't think I hit her with the tool, but I come on her radar because she helps organize conferences and stuff, and I've got conference in my profile title.
So, how many? So you said like 30 to 40 maybe new connections, and then
let's see. So within the last week, so August 16th to now, so that's basically Monday or Sunday through now. I've added 35 connections. I've endorsed 28 people, because you can also auto endorse your first number 1 connections. And you can do a search on those and then just run the same tool, and you tell it to auto-endorse them, and it'll endorse them for something that's lower on their list. Does that make sense? So it doesn't hit the top thing that they're known for. It hits something a little further down.
So, and then how many conversations would you say? Can you trace any sales to this?
Let's see. Let me look at my messages real quick. I don't have a ton of sales yet.
Yeah, that's true. You've only got like 7 or 8. But
But
you're having email conversations with people though, like as a result. Well, so my trouble. So a couple things. I'm up for trying this. What's the monthly cost? Or is it a one? Is it a?
No, it's a monthly cost. I think I'm
Okay.
paying like $80 a month or something for it.
80?
Let's see.
And you have to sit there and do it. Like there's some manual component to it, right? Where you have to sit there and.
Yeah, so you do.
Yeah.
I have the Business Plus. It's $50 a month.
Okay.
And
then you have to have a LinkedIn Pro account, which is like 70, I think, or something.
no,
like
that is my Pro account.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you mean Autopilot for LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was like 20 or 30.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's around $100 a month total. So a couple things on this. I might try this out. Technically, I believe this is against LinkedIn's terms of service.
Yeah, if they ask, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. So
It's a good thing we're not publicly broadcasting this over there.
Yeah. So you could,
nobody's recording this, right?
right.
No, and no one's watching it live.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I think the follow-unfollow thing is also against Twitter's terms of use.
it probably is.
Yeah.
But I think
There's a difference
LinkedIn
between-
enforces things a little bit more than Twitter does.
Yeah, they
Twitter-
have a threshold on there, so you'll get flagged if you have more than a certain number of page views in a day.
Okay.
And so one of the settings is how conservative do you want to be.
Yeah.
And so you can be conservative, normal, or aggressive. I have mine set to normal, so it visits 900 profiles a day. Aggressive is 1,200 profiles a day, and they said that their tests have shown that you get flagged when you hit somewhere around 1,500 or 1,600 pages on LinkedIn in a day.
That could change at a moment's notice, though.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I'm gambling a little on it, but
Yeah, that does make me a little nervous because I do like LinkedIn, and if you get banned from LinkedIn, like they don't really let you open another account. Like they're pretty aggressive about that.
Yeah, but are they really going to ban you? Like, I mean,
I have
that
heard
you're
of
not
people
gonna be able
getting
to
banned. Yeah,
and not be able to get unbanned from it.
I believe so. Yes, it's
mean,
been a while since I looked into this, but yeah, I have heard of people getting banned pretty hardcore from LinkedIn.
yeah, if they banned me, I'd talk to them and I'd just be like, "Oh, that's against the rules. Okay, I'll stop."
Yeah.
I'll never do it ever again.
That's right.
So that being said, my main problem with this is I'm getting, this is getting better for me. I don't really know who I would even be targeting. There's not like a clear search term that I know. Like I've been putting together a list of terms that might be useful for something like this, and one of them is GKIC, which is Dan Kennedy's, basically the group behind Dan Kennedy, and that's a pretty unique set of initials. It doesn't get used by, so I could target GKIC people, but
what is it? I'd like to do just a quick search on it.
It is Glazier Kennedy Inner Circle is what it stands for, and there's a lot of people on LinkedIn with that in their that have either worked for the company or been trained. Yeah, been trained. So, and those people would more or less know would understand more or less what I'm doing. So I could give it a shot. I think for me this would be more toward the minnow fishing side of things.
Probably.
And I could end up picking up clients from it though on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
so it's probably worth thinking about.
Yeah, what it'll get you, I think, is that you'll rank highly when people search.
Yeah.
And if you have a large enough network, people who care about that will take that seriously.
Yeah, my term's going to be like email copywriter though, and I don't think that there's
that'll bring in your competitors, not your email copywriter.
What do you mean? You don't.
If you do a search for email copywriter, you're going to find other email copywriters.
Oh yeah. No, I'd want to rank highly for that.
Yeah.
You're talking about your title. Would be...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my keyword that I'd like to. But I don't even know that there's really that many people that would even search for that. So one I had an interesting conversation this week. I got cold emailed by a copywriter who is selling he's got a database of potential clients that he's put together, like 2,000 potential clients, and he's basically handpicked out about 200 of them that he wants to keep, and then he's kind of auctioning off the rest. And it's actually a pretty cool idea, because any freelancer, like your number one pain point is like, I need leads and I need people that I can talk to. And but so he cold emailed me through, and I almost bought his thing. I was very close to buying it. But I talked to him. So this guy ranks #1 in Google for direct response copywriter as a term.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he beat out. Actually, he said he was at a conference one time, and Bob Bly came up to him and said, "I don't like you very much," because Bob Bly used to be #1, and this guy beat him out. So he gets a pretty decent amount of leads through his website, and he said 85% of them are complete garbage. Like, which has kind of reaffirmed my hesitation to really go whole hog on content marketing, because the people that he gets are direct response copywriter is actually a pretty specialized term. Like, you wouldn't just that's not something that you'd go searching for if you were looking for like an SEO person or something, like,
right.
You know. So, but he said 85% of the people that he talks to don't know anything about marketing. So he's like, it's like his first conversation with them is like marketing 101, remedial marketing, and that's like, he's #1 for direct response copywriter. So yeah, basically the content marketing angle is definitely minnow fishing. It's pretty far down the leads that I've gotten from my website have definitely been that way too. They're like, you know, people that I think could probably afford to pay me like $200, if that. But yeah, LinkedIn, this could potentially be useful if I can find the right way to target people.
Yeah. The other thing though is that, like I said, you can limit the search to like CXO or director or something.
Well, the problem for me is like I've done some searching on email marketing as a term, and most of the people that come up are like corporate content marketer types who just mainly, if they wanted anything, they'd probably just send out a monthly MailChimp style, you know, pretty template newsletter, and I don't even want to remotely talk to those people, because that's not what I do. So yeah, it's hard. It's actually been pretty hard to hone in on a group of people that I can identify and target. But yeah, like the GKIC term is one. There's another one that's kind of unusual, which is Piranha Marketing. That's a company. Anybody who mentions that is going to be pretty marketing savvy. But like, there's not like a job title. It's hard to find a job title of people that I can go after.
Yeah, but if there are terms that they use to describe themselves.
Yeah, which is where GKIC would be. It's like, that's like an affiliation. Oh, the other thing I realized is that I'm going to go after Infusionsoft consultants.
Oh, there you go.
I mentioned that before. Yeah, because they'll need. I actually talked to one lady this week locally, and she was really excited to meet me. She runs the local Infusionsoft user group here, and I asked her if I could come, and she's like, "Well, you can't network and you can't self-promote, so it would be kind of a waste of your time." But then we got talking, and she was actually really excited, and she's like, "Yeah, I need copywriters all the time," so she put me on her list.
Yep.
So who knows?
7,000 people on LinkedIn that have Infusionsoft in their profile somewhere.
Yeah.
If that's the case, also, Josh, that scales, because there's a lot of groups like that all over the country.
Yes.
And so if there is one that that they need copywriters, then there's going to be more. So.
Right. Yeah, and if I specialize, you know, then it makes it, since I'm specializing in email, that makes it a little easier.
Yeah, you could also search around like small business or small business strategy or things like that.
Yeah, I've thought about going after. Pretty much most of my clients have been coaches.
Yeah. So
I thought about going after coaches as a group, but that's a little too. I think Lori's advice was still too vague. Like I'd need to specialize in a couple more layers deep into that before I'd have
Well,
something. But
yeah, one thing that I'm seeing here is I did the search on LinkedIn for
Mhm.
Infusionsoft,
Mhm.
and I'm
This
just
will be
looking at the titles here, and so
yeah
there's advisor or small business strategist or
yeah
trainer
right
or professional speaker or sales leadership and training, and so you can target around all these different terms
right
and figure out, okay, so for right now I'm going to go after Infusionsoft, and then I'm going to go after small business strategy, and then I'm going to go after
yeah
um, business development, or
Mhm.
whatever the other terms are. I think you'll probably get more traction that way, just figuring out what those
right
terms are, where they're putting it in there and saying, this is who I am, this is what I do.
yeah. So for like the GKIC, oh wow, never mind. There's only 105 that I'm seeing. So that would I'd run out of that really quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, Infusionsoft is big enough that I could get
Yeah.
a little traction there.
But I mean, even still with GKIC, I mean, you can look at how they describe themselves. So chief
Right.
marketing officer is in here,
Yeah. Well,
director of
yeah, but
sales and
see,
marketing.
that's too vague because that's going to get me like 95% of CMOs are going to be the type of people that I don't want to work with. Most of
Right.
the companies I do want to work with are going to have small, if any, marketing departments.
Right.
So, and they might, they're only like their marketing person might be just like a copywriter, honestly.
Mhm.
Um, so, but yeah, I'm still figuring a lot of that out. So yeah, this has been
Yeah. It
it's just
also
been a
says
weird
that
week.
LinkedIn. It says LinkedIn filtered the results. So if you click the link to say show them all, then there are 451 of them.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
So,
So
but
I
yeah,
also
the other thing that I'm looking at doing is on LinkedIn is they have a fairly large, like 3,000 or 4,000 person group for Angular,
okay.
and so I'm planning on writing some posts there
hmm
and seeing if I can get some engagement off of that.
I would spend some time looking at the group first and look for comments, particularly because that's really your only clue as to whether there's anybody.
Paying
Because what
attention
I've
to it.
seen with the groups is they're infested with social media marketers,
Hmm.
which makes sense, right? Because you're on social media, and there's a bunch of people just blabbing away, spamming, and posting their content marketing, and
Right.
no one commenting or listening or probably reading. And I've talked to a couple people who and asked them like, how much traffic are you getting from this? And they're like, yeah, we don't get any.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it wouldn't hurt like if you're already posting, if you're already writing the stuff up anyway.
Yeah.
Wouldn't hurt that much, but LinkedIn is just not a great place to get. It's a great place to find people and then maybe reach out to them if they haven't, because most people haven't turned off their email from LinkedIn. So it's basically, for me, I use it as like a proxy for email.
Right.
The way to get into people's inboxes for me mostly, because the platform itself, there are a few niches I think where you can be successful, but most of them they're not. I think like the people that I see that are doing really well with LinkedIn content marketing are people who sell services on marketing on LinkedIn.
Yeah. That makes sense. I haven't gotten any. I don't have any supporting evidence to confirm or refute what
Yeah.
you're saying. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess you'll see what happens as it plays out, right?
Mhm.
I've got like, I've done, I haven't done, I haven't been doing stuff with LinkedIn lately, but I've got a chain, like a snowball effect. I've got 40 invitations right now. I'm just looking at
Oh
the
wow.
last few days. So I get all these invitations to connect, and then my profile views are usually like, I'm usually like somewhere in the top like 20 out of like 6,000 connections I have. So like it's all snowball effect from all the stuff I did before. Like because when you rank high, then more people click your stuff, and from the connections that you have.
What's your traffic? Have you looked at that lately?
Traffic coming from LinkedIn?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Curious to see, because you've got 6,000. You're in the top. I would wager top 1 to 5% of LinkedIn users. So.
Let's see. What's the best way to look up this? I'm going into Google Analytics, which we don't know how to use. So.
Yeah. Search for in the search bar. Search for refer.
Do we want what like in okay? So let's say last month in July.
Yeah.
How much did I get? Okay, so July acquisition, all traffic, referrals, and then I will search on LinkedIn. Let's see, how do I search on there? Okay, there we go, linked.
Google
and
Analytics.
41. So that's not a lot.
And the Understatement of the Week award goes to John. And you're posting a lot of content. You're posting probably multiple times a week.
I've been inactive with it though. So
okay.
Like if we look at, let me see.
Those might be mostly people viewing your profile. Then you don't have Edgar set up to post anything on. You're not posting your.
I think I'm not posting the LinkedIn stuff.
Yeah, I think so, because I've seen your stuff come up before.
So it says 1,577 this whole year. That's not a lot.
No.
Either.
That's what I'm saying. It's pretty much, a ghost town, as far as.
Yeah, because you don't see a lot of comments on stuff. So.
No. Nope.
That's
Yep. So if you doubled your followers, you'd essentially you might get another 1,500 page views.
Now, can I see referrals on Twitter? Let me see from Twitter. Does it, or you can't really see referrals from Twitter? Not really. Doesn't
Usually mine show up as TCO.
Yeah.
TC.co.
Yeah, .co. But it depends what link shortener you're using.
So T.co, I have 39,470.
Yeah.
For this year so far.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Twitter's a much better. I mean, people are active on Twitter. People are very rarely active on LinkedIn. So it's a big database, and it's great for researching people, and it's great if you've got high value customers like I do, who are just out there voluntarily telling me who they are on LinkedIn, but it's not. Yeah, as far as content sharing, it's terrible.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, you think there'd be some better way to...
Everybody, think of how every single person you know uses LinkedIn. They're they joined, and then they're now what?
Yeah.
And then they never
so
go back.
True.
And then they get the emails, and they'll complain about it to you, right? And then sometimes they'll unsubscribe from them, or sometimes they won't. But that's pretty much it. So,
except for when you put a new job on your profile, I'm just looking through my emails, and it's congratulations on your new job, which I did. I just added a title.
Yeah. Well, and probably a lot of those people are people trying to get your attention. So they're probably recruiters and stuff who watch LinkedIn actively and look for little news events to talk to people about. So.
Oh yeah, congratulations on your new position at Health Hero. Here's wishing you much success. As one of my first connections, here's a gift you can use now or save for when you might need it. Our socket tools component for TCP/IP protocols.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah. I think I congratulated you on Health Hero, but it was just hey, haven't you been doing this for a while?
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, should we wrap this up?
Yeah, you probably should.
This low energy level.
Yeah, I think for the
Thought-
most part it was just, yeah, we're doing the same kind of thing we were doing last week. So
Yeah.
No exciting debates or arguments. So,
we'll leave that to the politicians.
yeah. All right. Thoughts for the week? I've got one I can start with.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
It's actually a resolution or like something, a conclusion I came to. So I guess that still qualifies as a thought. The thought is basically like don't do low value things. Like evaluate what something over the course of your life or a long period of time will be worth, and then decide to do it or not to do it based on that. So I am going to throw away all pennies that I get. I'm also going to throw away 1 pences and 2 pences, any denomination coin.
Tuppence.
Yeah, because there's 2-cent coins in Europe.
Yeah.
I'm throwing those away. I'm not even putting them in my pocket. I'm just throwing them in the trash can as soon as I get a chance.
You fighting inflation?
What's that?
Are you fighting inflation?
Because they're annoying. They're in your pocket.
Quantitative easing, and then there's John. This is John's plan to fight quantitative easing.
There you go.
So I'm destroying currency. That's right.
Yep.
The thinking behind that is because, okay, so if you did the math on this, right, it's pretty simple math. But if I do this 10,000 times in my life, it will cost me $10. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if I throw away 10,000 pennies, it will cost me $10. So I'm probably not in my lifetime ever going to throw away 10,000 pennies. If I do, it will cost me $10.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a good.
And that's over your lifetime.
Yep.
So the hassle of having
10,000 pennies is $100.
What's that?
10,000 pennies is $100, not $10.
Sorry, yeah, $100. Yeah, 10,000 times, right? So, so I should also do math. That's my other thought for the day is learn basic math. But
no, you're fine. They've printed enough dollars to where in a few years it'll be the same thing. So.
Exactly. So, but anyway, you're not going to throw away 10,000 pennies in your lifetime. So $100. So I mean, technically, you should probably like in the long run, I'd probably benefit from throwing away all pennies, nickels, and dimes, and only keeping quarters, because of the hassle of dealing with those things. It'd probably be worth it. It probably would only cost me over the course of my lifetime, like maybe like $500 or $1,000, which is nothing over the course of your lifetime. So anyway, there's a bunch of things that belong to this category of thinking about the cumulative effect, and so it's not worth. This is kind of that being penny wise and pound foolish, like a lot of stupid things that I've talked about my $5 rule before, but it kind of falls into the same category. So.
Yep. So I think my thought for the week is I've been hit with this a couple of times this week, is that when you're in business and you don't have a USP, it's just really tough. That's where I've had my explainer video client and I are having an ongoing conversation about this right now, and it's like he doesn't have any. There's nothing unique about his business right now, and when you don't have anything unique about your business, you can't charge. You're a commodity. You're stuck charging what everybody else charges, the market rate, and it's impossible to market yourself because you don't even know what to say, because there's nothing unique about you.
Right.
And that's kind of so. I've actually spent a lot of time this week thinking about that and like starting to think about what my USP is going to be. Partly because I'm being forced to do this by coaching this course, helping out with this course that I'm helping out with. So yeah, like if you're having a hard time writing, promoting yourself, then chances are pretty good that is why. And you want to be number one in something. You don't want to be number 5. It's like the path to oblivion.
Yeah, there's an unequal distribution. There's a winner takes all.
Yep.
I should have a thought. I mean, mostly, with Derek talking about what he's, been handling over the last couple of weeks. I mean, really, it's that idea of balance, and this last week I've been just working like crazy to promote Angular Remote Conf. I've been working late. I haven't been sleeping. And sometimes life is like that, and then other times, you can make it up, and sometimes you can't, and sometimes you don't have a choice, and that's okay. I mean, the illusion that you're going to spend, the exact X right number of hours on work and the right number of hours with your kids and the right number of hours with your wife and the right number of hours doing the right things every week, and it's just going to kind of all level out. It doesn't happen that way.
Right.
And so, make sure that you're spending time on the important things, and make sure that you're deliberate about how that all works. But that doesn't mean that you're necessarily out of balance, because for the next week or two you really have to push in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Just because, it's not always going to be. You have different seasons. People forget that you have seasons.
Right.
I don't forget in the winter. I have to shovel my stupid walk. But yeah, exactly. So.
Well, I will talk to you guys next week. I'll still be in London, and then actually, I'm flying out. I might not actually be here next week.
I won't be here next week. I won't be here next Friday because I'll be at Perry's house. So, if we wanted to record early or something, because John, I think if two of us are going to be gone, then we might want to talk about recording early. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that might make sense, because I'm trying to think. I am flying out on Friday night to Iceland, so I believe that my flight is at 8:40 my time. This call ends at 7 my time, so.
Yeah, that's kind of a little close, probably.
I have the simple programmer meetup on Thursday, but I think I might cancel it because of the transportation strikes. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good grief! There's transportation strikes in London now.
Yeah, you know what? Friggin' Europeans, seriously,
John's just bringing mayhem to every city.
Strikes on the tube, the subway station. They're striking next week. Yeah.
Nice.
That's so funny. Yeah, I remember when I lived in Italy, it was so heavily regulated that they could only gather in specific areas in specific numbers, and so if more people showed up, they just had to turn them away. And
the strikers?
Yes.
Oh,
and so we go to the post office to pick up packages from our parents and stuff, and there'd be a notice on the door next Thursday. This post office will be closed from this time to this time for the strike. And
oh my gosh!
They had to get a government permit to strike, and then they had to get another government permit to actually get together and strike in a specific place. And there's some reason on there, higher wages or something or whatever. But
oh, that's hilarious!
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You can't gather and demonstrate.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting sick of that mentality. It's so ridiculous, but what can you do?
Well, you're in the 1%. You just don't understand.
Yeah. That's it. All right, guys.
Alrighty.
See you next week. We'll have to figure out on the list what we're doing next call.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Bye.